Welcome back to Launch Speed. We are cruising at an altitude of 1 foot again, and we are not cruising on a Boeing 737.
Thank God. Welcome again. I'm your co-host Brendan, joined today by my co-host Zach, and our computer who still remains nameless. Don't forget, while you're watching this, while you're listening to this, we are on YouTube in case you wanted to watch it.
Oh, there's where you're going with that.
That's where I was going with that. Don't forget to check out our Teespring, like our Facebook page, and tell all your friends about your new favorite podcast.
Even though if you're listening to this, you probably don't have many. Soiled it!
There's
Roll.
multiple shapes and sizes. Just decide that a real fat guy is just a bear and it's hitting an animal.
No, it's not gonna hit a bear.
Well, yeah, I know that. It will determine the
Launch speed.
Stop! I'm trying to think. I'm trying to put my words together. You're rushing me.
Am I helping?
No, not at all. No one else can see my hands.
Welcome to Launch Speed. All right, we are live. No, we're not.
Wait, no, we're not.
What's going on, man? What's been going on with you this week?
It's been a great week for me.
Good.
I spent $1,300 on a computer.
Oh
and
my
God!
How'd you end up spending more than me on mine?
Because of that graphics card.
Oh, yeah, I already have my one about mine. Yep. Okay, you're right. Go on.
So, dropped some money on that, but it's a great computer. It runs so freaking nicely.
Oh, so you can have a game and Chrome open at the same time?
I can have everything open.
Do you need a second monitor still?
I do.
Okay. We'll take care of that. I got you.
You have an extra monitor?
Well, I'm going to buy Greg's old one and then give you mine and then...
What does it run, 144?
No.
244?
No.
Then I don't want it.
All right, whatever, man. All right, man, what else?
So the graphics card, I just really want to talk about it because it's brand new and I'm just so excited about
That is the 1660 Ti?
it. It is.
Yeah, which was... I don't know. It bothered me that they changed up the numbering scheme so dramatically, but whatever. I mean, because it's like 1060, 1070, 1080, and then the newer ones, the Turing ones, are 2060, 2070, 2080, and then after that, they were like, let's split the difference and go back to 1660. And it's not even. It's not important, but
Yeah, but it does have a pretty good overclock, which I don't know if I'm gonna do or not.
especially if you're already running at
Max.
250 frames per second, there's no reason to.
Yeah, I'm pretty much maxed out,
Yeah.
which is awesome, and it's not bottlenecked, which is what I was worried about. But
Yeah.
the processor I bought handles everything quite well.
Good. You got the i5?
i5 9600
Yeah. Okay.
K, if anyone's curious about that, because there is an F, which isn't. I think it's 9400 F.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, huh. If you say so. Cool.
Yeah, and work wasn't miserable this week. I don't have really anything to complain about work.
Wow.
I say that, but
It's
there are things
Thursday.
that I will complain about.
There are. I see at least two.
Yeah, but they're not big things.
Okay. Well. So you'll notice if you're listening to this and not watching it on YouTube, that our table is exactly the same as it was last week. That is partially my fault.
It's all of your fault.
Well, part of it I'm going to blame on the fact that it was too windy to spray paint the last couple days. So I'm going to blame it on that.
Oh, okay, all right.
I mean,
whatever it takes.
It was crazy windy the other day. So that's my excuse.
I didn't know
that's
you
my
couldn't assemble
story.
it without spray paint.
And I'm sticking to it.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, it was rust. The pipes are rusty, so I had to sand them down, and they're still a bit rusty. It's irrelevant. Table's coming next week.
For sure.
Next week.
Like
The top,
Are you guaranteeing it?
I'll guarantee. The top
Okay.
is done. Everything is cut to length. It's kind of primed, so I need to finish priming it, paint it, assemble it, which will take 2 seconds. Then we're done.
All right, I'm excited, dude. That table, I saw the top of it. It looks really good. I'll give you kudos there.
It's not bad for basically what I had just lying around. So,
Hey, this is spare time, so why not use spare parts?
perfect. I like it. So, you told me that you got the next round of interviews for that job that you were applying for.
I did. I have to go in and show that I can work with hand tools, and I can follow directions.
Can you do those things?
As long as it's a left-handed hammer, I think I'll be fine.
No amphibious hammers?
No, there's no amphibious hammers, so I don't quite know what I'm going to be doing.
Okay. Have you used a lot of hand tools before?
I did. I worked as a mechanic for 6 months.
I keep forgetting that.
So I spent a lot of time with hand
I
tools.
was living with you when you were doing that. I don't know why I keep forgetting that. All right, whatever.
I didn't have a clean pair of jeans ever.
Right. Because you never washed your clothes.
Okay, that's not true. They just are grease stained permanently.
That's true. You wore that ratty, olive green-ish sweatshirt all the time. Now it's got stains all over it.
Oh, you mean the one I was wearing today?
Is that what you're wearing today?
Yeah.
I don't pay attention.
It still has grease.
I just remember that one because it was always on the floor right next to my chair. But
I'm sorry.
Moving, I'm not bitter about it.
You're not?
Moving on.
Moving on.
Let's do your second to last thing on this segment.
So I watched the movie Papillon.
That is not how I read it. I read it as Papillion.
That's exactly how somebody corrected me. I said I watched Papillon, and they're like, and I wrote it down. And they're like, oh, Papillon.
Did they not say the name of the movie in the movie?
They kept calling him Pappy.
I can see.
And I think they said it, but it's a French-based movie. So
is it in French?
No.
Okay.
It's all in English.
Is it English dubbed?
No.
Because we started a movie on Netflix, and it was French, but dubbed in English 5 seconds in. When the mouths weren't moving the same way that the words were coming out, we were just like, nope, all right, that's enough.
No, it's about a Frenchman, but it's all in English.
Okay.
And if that's my recommendation of the week. If you have free time, watch that movie.
Netflix?
Amazon Prime.
Okay.
It's a true story, which I didn't. Maybe they said that at the very beginning of the movie, and I wasn't paying attention. But at the end, they showed the guy it's about, and the stuff he had to go through is just amazing that he made it.
Was it one of those things that afterwards you were like, "Oh shit, this is a true story"?
Yeah, it was the whole time. I was like, "Man, this is nuts!" I'm glad something like this never happened. And then I was like, "Oh, this guy went through this stuff."
Oh. Can you give anything else away without giving?
So it's about the French prison system, the colonies in South America that France had. They were sending their criminals there, and that's where they're serving life sentences as banished citizens of France.
Did they get out?
This guy was pardoned by the French in 1984.
Interesting.
But it was 1930s or something.
What is it with countries sending their imprisoned to other places? Because that's how Alabama was started. That's how Australia was started. And Georgia. That's how Georgia was started. Australia and I guess wherever this was in South America is basically just prisoners.
Yeah, and they're on remote islands, so it's just they don't even have a good guard system because they don't need one.
Right. What are you gonna do? Swim?
Yeah.
Get eaten by sharks?
That's exactly what they said.
Or turtles?
The sharks will eat you.
Yeah.
But I was just really excited about that whole movie, so I wanted to bring it up.
Nice. So I had something funny happen to me today.
Did you now?
Casey and I were going to the grocery store. We were behind a cop with his lights on, and he stopped at a red light, waited for the whole red light, and then went. Right? And I was like, okay, maybe, whatever. He stops at the next red light, obeying the traffic laws, and I was like, I don't know if he knows if his lights are on. And then the guy next to him, in the lane next to him, rolls down his window and gets the cop to roll down his window. And must have said something along the lines of, dude, your lights are on. Because the cop immediately turned his lights on. I was like...
Off.
Sorry, off. I was like, nice. Way to go, dude.
That's pretty common in this area. Because I went to the gym one time, and 2 cop cars were sitting in the gym parking lot with their lights on. And I was like, oh, man, I wonder what's going on. And then I went into the gym, and 2 guys were in the squat rack that screamed police. And I walked up to them, and I was like, is there something going on outside? And they're like, no, not to our knowledge. And I was like, so you guys' lights are on for fun?
Oops.
We left them on. I was like, yeah, you guys left them on. So he runs out there to turn them off.
So does that mean they had them on just to get to the gym faster?
Probably, you got to get that squat rack before everyone else does.
Yeah, because I mean it takes forever to get it back. But I mean, like, isn't there some sort of? I guess you probably don't know the answer to this. I feel like there should be a light or a noise or some indication that your lights are on.
I mean, it's like your turn signal. It does have a noise, but a lot of people just ignore it and just don't pay attention anymore.
I guess if the music's loud enough, you're not gonna hear it.
And
those cops are blaring Miley Cyrus. you know they're listening to Wrecking Ball. And all those greatest hits.
That they are. Okay. Anything this week that happened to you that you didn't like?
Yeah, so I've been having some car trouble. I was pretty sure that it was the battery, but there were some symptoms that made it seem like it could have been the alternator or some sort of parasitic drain. But I went ahead and replaced my battery. But before that, I think it was Wednesday, I stopped at the hardware store to pick up some stuff for the table, and my car wouldn't start again. And I was like, that's not good. So I asked the first person that I saw, as I usually do. I was like, hey, excuse me, sir. And then I was finally like, yo. And then he was like, what? I was like, can you jumpstart my car? He was like, oh, I don't know, it's not my car. And then this older guy walks out, and it's the first guy's dad. I'm like, sir, could you please jumpstart my car? He's like, I don't have the cables. I was like, oh, it's okay, I got the cables. He's like, I got a weak battery. And then they just left. He just flat out refused to jumpstart my car. I'm like, dude, what the heck? I mean, it takes like 2 seconds, and a weak battery is not a good excuse to not jumpstart somebody's car.
It is an asshole move. I'm going to agree with you, but I've done that to somebody. Not said a weak battery, but they asked me to jumpstart their car, and I said, oh, my car's diesel, so it won't work. And then
I can't even imagine. Did he believe you?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
He's like, oh, that totally makes sense.
Okay.
And then I drove off because I didn't have the cables, and he didn't have the cables.
Okay, so it wouldn't have worked anyways.
No. But he wanted me to...
It's diesel.
Yeah, but I just said it's diesel. It's not going to work. We have different batteries. He said, okay, that makes sense.
Diesel batteries are typically stronger.
They are.
If I know correctly.
I have a
so
very
it'd
large
work even
battery.
better.
I have a very large battery in my car.
Some people's knowledge of the internal workings of the cars that they drive every day is so shockingly low.
It is.
So I think that was pretty much it for me this week. You got some stuff to complain about this week?
Just a little bit.
Insert music segment.
So sadly, I didn't make it to the bar. I know it's hard to believe since I have such a good schedule for going to the bar.
Perfect.
So I didn't make it Friday because I got off work at midnight. I didn't make it Saturday because I was here, and I didn't go Sunday or Monday because no one goes to the bar that time.
Except for alcoholics.
Right. Which I'm not one and never was.
So were you... Well, actually, is there a college close enough by that Thursday nights would be okay?
I could go to College Park if I really wanted to.
Do you want to?
No.
Yeah.
It just doesn't appeal to me, the idea of going back to college to drink with them, because one, I don't know anybody there. All of my friends from Maryland have graduated.
Yeah.
And also I'm at that age where it just doesn't feel appropriate anymore to go hang out with an 18-year-old who just turned 18 and I'm 24. No, not a good mix for me.
Well, they won't be at the bar unless they're 21.
Yeah, because that's how college works.
That is how college works.
Nobody uses fakes there.
Are you legitimately planning on going to the bar? Because, I mean, I just feel... Okay, yeah.
Not even a little bit.
Okay. I mean, you seem pretty set on it. What was it, last week, 2 weeks ago? So
I couldn't care less, man.
Okay, man.
I have no plans of meeting anyone that way. Okay. To work, though.
Okay.
So, we rent out our courts in the evenings to leagues because, that's the only way we can fill the court and fill the time and, make money.
Okay.
So the leagues buy court time from us, but these people take their league so ungodly serious.
Are these official leagues?
Yeah, they're official USTA leagues.
Okay.
But the people who play in them make it sound like they're playing a pro sport that has money on the line, when it has nothing. It literally, you're doing it for recreational fun.
This is just club sports, basically.
Yep.
Okay.
And so I had 2 instances. The first night was with women. The second night was with men, so there's no sexism here. I hate both of them.
At least you're equal.
So the women, I told them what court they need to be on, and they didn't listen to me, and they went on the wrong courts. And then another group showed up, and since the women had gone on the wrong court, they were playing over their time technically, or they needed to move. So I went down there and I said, hey, you guys need to move courts. And they're like, oh, this is a USTA match. We're not allowed to move in the middle of a match.
Okay, but I mean, you were in the wrong place to start with, and who cares?
I was like, oh, but you must have forgot this isn't a professional match, so you need to move. And I made a move.
Did you say that?
I did.
Wow.
And because the thing is, since they're not members, I can't really get in trouble for being rude.
Oh.
Because my boss doesn't care.
Okay.
So the way we do it is...
That's income the club doesn't need, I guess?
It's not that they need it. It's just the leagues will always use our club.
Okay.
Because we're open that late,
Sure.
and we have the most popular courts.
All right.
So we're in high demand, so we don't have to worry about that. And also, it's a league. That person complaining isn't going to fix anything for anybody.
Sure. Okay. Continue.
So, because here's what we do when someone who's not a member complains. We're like, oh, we're so sorry. We hope we can do something for you. Could you give us your member number so we can, and they're like, oh, I'm not a member. And then we just kind of look at them funny and make them feel completely dumb. Like, you don't matter to us, which is the only benefit of working at a club. And then for the men, I run a Monday night men's double league for our members. So I'm on court, I'm playing in, and these two guys walk into the middle, like we're playing a point and they walk onto our court, which is incredibly rude. And they stop the point that we're playing, and he's like, hey, you're supposed to be at the front desk. We need tennis balls for our match.
Wow.
And I was like, you guys have 15 minutes and you guys can wait. That's it. Like, get off the court. You can't be down here.
Yeah.
So I sent him back up. And then I guess they expect me to bring the tennis balls to him. So I just took the tennis balls and set them on my desk. And then I just left them there because I wasn't going to walk them down to him. And the guy comes up and he's like, where are the tennis balls? And I was like, they're right here. He's like, so these are for us? I was like, yeah, they're all yours. He's like, well, it's 15 minutes late. And I was like, that's not my problem, man. You should have come up 15 minutes ago then.
Wow.
You were so eager to get them 30 minutes before.
Wow.
So... I just hate how people take unprofessional sports that seriously.
Yeah.
Like, I'm competitive, and I was that competitive in college, but I still wasn't that rude to anybody.
Yeah, I mean, are these the kind of people that are just the ultra competitive, and that's why they're doing these club sports? They're just ultra competitive. They need to get it out in a...
No, it's just because if you like playing tennis, the only way you can play tennis recreationally besides finding someone is... You can play in a league and you have guaranteed matches. So a lot of people do it for fun. And then there's some people who are just assholes.
Right. Well, that's true with literally everything, but...
And just the people who are like, this is a USTA match, so we can't move. I was like...
It's in the rules.
It's in a league that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Get on. Also, so, being the tech guru that I am, somehow it is carried over to work. Oh, yeah, I'm not one. Right. I know about as much as your average person does about computers, but anytime there's a computer question, computer issue, my boss is like, Zach can fix it.
Are you the youngest one there?
Yes.
Okay. Well, therein lies your answer.
So he somehow managed to lock himself out of a bunch of files.
I don't even know how you would manage to do that.
I don't either. And he wanted me to recover them.
Okay. Yeah, good luck.
I did.
Wow. How would you lock yourself out of files?
I don't know how he did it.
How'd you fix it?
I basically changed the name of his drive and then I reset the administrative password basically. That's it.
You know, most of troubleshooting a computer issue is Google.
That's exactly what I did.
And
follow the instructions.
But people still ask you. I'm like, hey, just for the record, most of what I just did was Google. It does help to have a little bit of background knowledge so you know what to Google.
Yeah.
But I mean, for the most part, it's just Google.
So, and he also wanted me to set up his mouse and keyboard.
What But hold on, wait. What do you mean set? Just plug in? I mean,
That's what you do. And he's like, I need everything set up for tomorrow morning, so could you do that for me? And I was like, of course.
dude.
And I plugged everything in, and then the next day he's like, can you show me how you did it? And I was like, it's one USB drive because they're both wireless, and I unplugged it, and then I plugged it back in, and I said, there, you're done. He's like, you didn't have to download anything? And I was like, in this little corner right here, the window, it'll tell you that it's downloading the driver, and then it'll say, complete.
Wow.
Yeah, it's painful.
I can't believe you had to actually explain that to someone.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, and very clearly, he didn't even try.
Or didn't care. I mean, he gets paid a ridiculous sum. He's got...
All right, but it's a waste of both of your times.
Oh, it is.
If he had just tried, then he wouldn't have had to go and ask you, and then he wouldn't have had to been like, hey, just show me how to do it. It would have solved itself.
Yep.
But...
And that's not my
Let's
last
bring it up.
complaint about being the tech guru, even though this isn't technically IT work. Our printer jammed, and nobody knew how to take apart a printer, like just not like undoing every part, just unjamming it.
Okay. Just a piece of paper jammed in it.
Mm-hmm. Just got torn up, and I had to fish out all the pieces. And then Frank was like, "How'd you do it?" And I was like, "See this little
Magic.
button that says it ejects the whole tray? You click it, and then you pull all the paper out that you can find, and then you try it." The end.
Try on it. Wow, that is obnoxious. This is all at work.
Is all it worked.
Do you get this in your everyday life? People asking you to fix computers and stuff.
No.
Oh.
Do you?
I do actually. I mean, even my coworkers who are computer people, software engineers, they're like they have stuff break, if you will, and I'm like, I go over, do 2 clicks, and I'm like, well, this is how you do it.
It's a lot of it is like navigating through things. They can't seem to figure it out. Like we have a program that we've been using for the last, I think it's been in like 10 years, and it updates every year or so. So there are things that are changed a little bit, but if you work with a system every day, you'd think you know how to use everything.
You would think.
I was wrong. They don't.
That is terribly, terribly annoying.
But that's all I've got about work. I'm done with it.
Gotcha.
And that's,
Gotcha.
yeah.
That's the end of the anti-news.
Almost.
No?
One more computer thing.
Okay.
I assembled my computer this week, right?
That's right.
And you already know this story about how I managed to get my finger caught in a graphics card van,
I'm aware.
which is why I now have a new graphics card because I broke the other one.
Well, part of the reason, but yeah.
I was going to upgrade it anyway, but I would have preferred not to be forced that day to buy one. Yeah, so like everyone knows, when you put something into anything electrical, you're supposed to make sure the whole system's off so it can't turn on by itself.
Obviously, because it'd be stupid
It would be.
to do it otherwise.
So what I did was I had everything hooked up and on. It's not even like I had the system completely shut off. I just had it running. Like the motherboard was running, all the fans were running, and I just messed with the little cable on my graphics card. My hand was sitting under it, and then it turned on at full speed. And the fan broke and broke my finger. Well, not broke my finger, but cut it up.
Broke your finger. I mean, at least one of the blades snapped off.
Yeah, just one blade.
How
snap.
bad is the cut?
It's 2 deep gashes.
2?
2.
Wow. See, I didn't think those fans were that sharp or spun that fast, but
When your finger's inside of it, it doesn't really matter.
it seems like, and correct me if I'm wrong, it seems like it's a bad idea to put your fan or your finger in a moving fan. Would you say that's accurate?
I would. I think a lot of people could prove that, but I'm the most recent story.
Yeah, I'd say. Is that it?
That's it. That's all we got.
Okay, that's all we got. Looking ahead, these are all yours.
Oh, they are.
They're all yours.
What are your feelings about Ultimate Frisbee? I know you're terrible at throwing one, but
I'm so bad at Ultimate Frisbee. That's one of those things that I guess it would fall into the category of the people who take unprofessional sports too seriously. A lot of people who play Ultimate get too into Ultimate, and then there's just no going back from that. But
so would you be interested in playing this summer?
sure. Well, I mean, if it was convenient,
It's in Cove Point, I believe.
sure. Why not?
All right.
I mean, I have to learn how to throw a frisbee first.
No, you
Learn
don't.
how to throw a frisbee accurately.
There you go.
Yeah. I can throw a frisbee, but it might not go the right direction. and there is a chance that someone's going to get hit in the face.
That happens anyway. Sometimes intentionally.
I mean, I guess I'd say Ultimate is kind of good unless people just take it too seriously and like start like literally just decking people and being too aggressive in what is essentially a non-contact sport. You shouldn't be throwing people on the ground, but
yeah, I mean, I just want to play Frisbee because I love Frisbee. I love throwing it around.
Well,
in the
you're
backyard.
actually good at throwing the Frisbee around, so.
Yes. Thankfully, my dad taught me something in my life.
Right.
Not saying he's not that sounded weird. Dad, I love you with all my heart.
The one thing he taught you.
That's one of the things he taught me how to do very well.
I mean, it's funny how he learned because he was on an aircraft carrier, and if you don't throw the Frisbee accurately,
It's gone.
you don't have a Frisbee.
Yeah, it's gone forever.
I mean.
So I decided that my gains in the gym aren't enough, and I realized what the problem is. I'm not taking steroids.
That would be it.
I'm too short, so I need to start taking steroids so I can get a little bit taller and get stronger.
Oh, I see. I see
Yeah.
what you said there. Instead you get the M sculpt that we talked about last week in our podcast, and just attach electrodes to yourself and basically do 20,000 curls in a single session for the low price of $3,500. And
How is that going to help my height problem?
well, to help your muscle problem.
But see, the thing is,
So it's all about the height for you.
it's all about height.
Oh, it's all about okay.
Yeah, I'm just not tall enough.
It is unfortunate to us average height people, I guess.
Yeah.
That being slightly taller gives you a significant better baseline. Significantly better baseline for muscle growth.
Not to mention, like, this is kind of a little bit off topic, but not really. It has to do with height. Is girls who wear heels are immediately taller than you when you're average height.
Yeah.
And
Well, maybe. Casey's not. She'd have to wear 5-inch heels,
see, you did it right.
which I don't even know if her feet are like 5 inches long. She's got these little tiny princess feet. You know the Chinese ladies, and how in the olden days they would break their toes under their feet.
Yeah, they'd wrap
Casey's
them.
feet, thankfully, don't look like that, but they're about that long. Tiny, tiny, tiny.
Oh, that's why when she kicks you, it feels like getting stabbed.
That, and she doesn't clip her toenails, so she's got little knives.
Oh, dude, that's the worst.
I'm just kidding.
Last thing.
She'd be so mad if she was here right now.
Yeah, it would be. If she heard this, she'd be livid. Thankfully, she doesn't listen or hear to
All right, just move on.
I want to start a YouTube channel.
Okay.
I know you have one,
Ish.
but I don't want to be a part of it.
Okay, great. I don't want you to be a part of it. Fuck you, man.
But I need some ideas. I was thinking more like a Jackass style.
Yeah,
YouTube
so
channel
I think what you should do is you should find the tallest building you can.
and jump off of it.
Don't jump off, but instead pull the concrete up to you.
How would you even do it? Just have a slab of concrete just like get quickly raised and just hit me?
I don't know, man. But I'd say you could probably do it on the first try.
You're right. I bet I'd get a lot of views on my first video.
Yeah, Reddit banned the subreddit, which is called, I think it's Watch People Fucking Die, and it's just a subreddit full of videos of people dying.
That's not cool, man. I'm glad they banned that.
But your YouTube video, single video on your channel, I would watch it 10,000 times.
It would be trending, for sure.
For 5 minutes, and then
No one would
that'd
care.
be 5 minutes of fame.
Post.
Wait, did you have a point for this?
No,
YouTube
I
thing?
want people. I want people to reach out and give me some ideas about what we can do, what I can do. You're welcome to join in.
I mean, the thing is, right? You have no skills. You have no technical knowledge of any sort.
And I have no looks.
You're not personable. There's nothing to look at. Basically, when you talk, it just sounds like a lot of hot air. And then on top of that, did I say it already? But you're ugly.
Dude. What are you putting me on blast for? You just absolutely roasted my entire being.
You said you didn't want to be part of my YouTube channel, man.
Can I leave? I'm leaving.
Okay.
I'm
All
getting
right.
the hell out of here.
I'll just do this with my computer. I'm just messing around, man.
No, you're not.
A little bit.
Don't lie to the people.
Anyways, I mean, are you looking for ideas from me or from our many fans? Or
Our many fans.
Okay, all right.
You know, the 20 people that listen to it occasionally.
You are sounding us real short there, bud. All right. Is that it?
That's it.
Is that it?
That's all. That's all for us.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I guess I didn't really have anything to look forward to.
I mean, you never do.
No. Life is dull and dreary.
I'm sure your wife appreciates that.
Besides my amazing marriage. So I guess we'll move on to podcast news. First off, got another shout out from our podcast troll.
Oh, Mike?
Mr. Oxlong.
There we go.
He wanted us to shout out to Nebraska for all of the issues that they've been having with water retention.
A lot of water.
Water retention. And
so so shout out. Are we shouting out to Nebraska?
You could call it that.
I hope everyone recovers. It's going to be tough though. So the flooding has caused $1.3 billion in damages.
I thought I read a stat that was higher than that, but that's pretty absurd.
I didn't even know Nebraska was worth more than $2.
Wow. This took a dark turn.
I'm kidding. There's just nothing out there besides corn.
Yeah. I guess some of the issues that it's just so flat that the water has nowhere to go. So it just kind of
sits,
hangs out.
Yeah, so it's going to take them a long time to recover from that because they lost a lot of crops this year.
I've seen a lot of pictures of just freeways completely and totally underwater.
And destroyed from the incoming floodwaters have broken up roads.
Oh, well, I can't see that because the pictures I saw, they were
showing where the water receded and how much it's damaged the roads. That's what I thought you were talking about. But
okay,
Nebraska has our prayers for sure. At least mine.
And thoughts.
Thoughts and prayers.
In other news, our Teespring is still up and still awesome. So go check it out. Links will be in the description. Also, our Patreon page is now up. So if you want to get in at the ground floor and support your favorite podcast
of all time.
How
much is it going to be for the first level?
$2. $2 a month.
What does that get you?
Pocket change. At least stickers.
Oh, nice.
We haven't completely decided on the tiers yet, but our Patreon page is up. It is rolling. You get some extra bonuses, and just think about it. A couple bucks a month.
We might decide to do an extra episode here or there and toss it only on Patreon for them alone.
Right.
Because why not?
You got to give them some bonus, something good. Yep. We got stickers. I wish I had brought them down here, but we got stickers.
You sent me a picture. I know what they look like.
Yeah, they are pretty cool. That's it for that. We had a couple things. Chris wrote in about our last couple episodes. We talked last week about killing raccoons with an air rifle.
Yes,
we did. You said you might need something more than that.
Yeah.
Turns out they make air rifles that go up to 4,200 PSI. So
what's the feet per second off of that?
A lot. Many.
Definitely breaks the sound barrier.
I watched a video of this guy who took a literally 45 caliber bullet and put it in an air rifle at 4,200 PSI, and it punctured all the way through an elk. All the way through. In and out. So, turns out air rifles are much more sophisticated than I thought. And this particular one, you could probably kill like a dozen raccoons if they were in a line. Just go through all of them.
Like the classic Western where all the bad guys line up at the door and they all get shot.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing he wrote in about a bear fact, adolescent grizzly bears can climb trees, but adults can't, and all black bears can. So, if in the heat of the moment you're getting chased by a bear, if you can be 100% sure that it's an adult grizzly bear, feel free to climb the tree and hope they don't knock it down. But the reason behind this is all black bears and young grizzly bears have the hooked claws.
So they can kind of like latch onto things.
Yeah. And then as the grizzly bears get older, the shape of their claws change so they can't really lock onto stuff as well. So
they can still tear it down with their big old bear paws.
Yeah. But yeah, yeah, they could chop that tree down, but they can't climb it. So
Okay. Well,
it's good to know in case you are ever in the middle of nowhere.
So you get to a tree and you turn around. And you're like, are you a small black bear? Or are you a small grizzly bear? Or are you a black bear? Oh, it doesn't matter. They both can climb. You're dead anyway. Never mind. You get to the
Right.
tree, you're dead.
Also, why are you asking the bear?
Because you said you had to be 100% sure.
Oh,
You can't just identify it. That's so wrong.
You can't assume its identity.
Exactly. It's got to tell you what it is.
Okay. Well, on that note, that brings us into our bear bits for this week.
I love bear bits, man.
Yeah.
They're the best.
You've heard of sun bears, right?
Yes.
They are an incredibly funny-looking species of bear.
Beer.
Excuse me? Bear.
It would be a funny
beers on my
species of
mind
beer.
and in my hand. So they look pretty silly. Could we bring up some pictures, please, here, computer? Yeah, that's great. I saw some pictures of a sun bear walking, and to me it looks like somebody closed their eyes and tried to draw a bear. They got them mostly right, but not all the way there. But I read this week that sun bears have been confirmed to be the first non-primate, non-domesticated animal that will mimic the facial expressions of the people or the animals, not people, the animals that they're playing with.
They've got the longest tongues I've ever seen.
It's like an anteater. And look at, oh man, there's some funny looking animals. I really like the design on their chest.
Oh, the reason why they're called sun bears?
Yeah, it's pretty nifty. Is that what they're called, sun bears?
I believe so.
Okay. I mean, it doesn't look like a sun. It looks like they have front wings.
Okay. I know names are always so accurate.
Front wing bears.
Yeah.
I just thought it was interesting, and I have discovered that I like looking at pictures of sun bears, as does Casey.
I don't have that fascination, but I can see why. They do look adorable.
I mean,
but I don't find myself
terrified.
passing time by looking at bears. Can these ones climb, though?
ooh, good
What's
question.
the situation for getting away from a sun bear?
Laugh at it. I think they're very insecure about how they look.
Oh, so you just hit it with that, getting a little thick around the edge there. Hibernation didn't treat you very well.
Why the long tongue, buddy? All right, that's it.
That's it. That's all we got.
Rabbits are into the news. Did you see or hear this week that James Gunn, the director of Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2, was, well, depending on how you put it, either unfired or rehired?
I would say rehired.
Yeah.
Because he was
I guess he was
publicly fired.
Oh, yeah, sure. This title said unfired, which is why I wrote it down as unfired, but he was rehired to direct Guardians of the Galaxy 3. And we talked about it a while ago, but I'll just go over it again. He was fired in 2018 over some tweets that he made in 2011 that were just some awful jokes that he admitted
They were poorly received jokes.
they were poor taste and
Yeah.
poorly received. And he admitted that he was just doing it for shock value. And these were tweets 8 years prior to his firing, or 7 years prior to his firing, that somebody dug up, and Disney had to
react.
They had to react, and they fired him for it. But the reason I thought this was newsworthy was because they fired him months ago in July, and they didn't officially announce his rehiring until this month, March.
I take it he was rehired way before this, though.
It was a few weeks, quote, afterwards, the leadership at Disney started having conversations with him, and I guess determined that he felt remorse, and these were not a reflection of his character, and they went ahead and rehired him. And in that contract, I guess, they allowed him to work on some DC movie that's coming up as well.
Okay. I'm glad they
still do
they got off their high horse and decided to reverse their decision, because Guardians of the Galaxy are great movies in my opinion.
Did you like You watched both of them?
I watched both of them. I really liked the first. Second one was kind of nah, but I still enjoyed it. It was still an enjoyable movie.
I thought second one was pretty good, but the first one was just awesome.
But like his style, I don't think they'd have a hard time remaking that. And the third one would be such a drastic difference if they didn't have James Gunn.
Right.
They might as well just like can the series if they're not gonna have the same director.
But I mean, it seemed like they fired him and just completely out of the whole virtue signaling culture.
Yeah,
I mean, it was just a reaction.
They're just looking for approval. That's all they want.
Yeah, yeah. But and so they obviously knew this, and them hiring him back a couple weeks later just absolutely proves the fact that they were just doing this for the media attention, or for the media acceptance or approval, or whatever. I haven't read any outlash at him being rehired.
I don't think there will be, because there was such backlash for the firing.
That's true. That's true. There was.
The media made it sound like he needed to go, but then everyone else is like, "Yo, hold up. We actually really liked him. This is ridiculous."
I know. It's like, I mean, if somebody screws up, in 8 years, would you just going to assume they haven't changed, or they're exactly the same person, or they weren't just making a mistake back then? Like, it just...
sometimes you got to forgive people.
Yeah. There has to be a way for them to redeem themselves, and he publicly apologized for these things before several times, and there's no reason that the initial reaction should have been this strong, but basically, I'm just glad that they hired him back. I mean, it seemed like the right thing to do.
I'm surprised Disney still has the name Disney.
I was thinking that they have Guardians of the Galaxy, and they just got the rights to Deadpool. They don't seem very Disney to me anymore.
No, not even a little bit.
I mean, Deadpool, the original Deadpool was just so crass that if I was Disney, I would be embarrassed to have that under my title. Disney, who's known for children's movies and children's shows, Disney Channel, and Miley Cyrus.
Well, yeah, they, sometimes some get away.
But I don't know. It seems like to me like they should have an off sector.
I make a move that they change their name from Disney.
Do you have any suggestions?
I don't know. Something that, if people knew who Disney was as a person, they wouldn't be supporting it as heavily.
Because Walt Disney was a racist?
Yes. Not only was he a racist, but he had some odd beliefs.
He was, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's not anti-sentiment.
Semitism?
Anti-Semite. He was an anti-Semite as well.
He didn't like the Jews.
Wow, I can't believe I couldn't think of that word.
You're all right.
Yeah, I mean,
there's a lot of all the backlash for the southern, the people of the South who fought in the Civil War, removing their statues, changing people who had do they really want to take Washington off the bill because he had slaves?
I've heard that proposed. I think most people are going to go against it, but I mean, the Civil War was what, 70 years before Walt Disney came around?
Yeah.
Is that right? I think he was 1920-ish. Can you check me on that computer, please? But I mean, it seems like if they were having that kind of backlash at the Confederate stuff, which is in the 1860s, they should have
in a whole different time era,
right? Where
whole different era.
I mean, racism has kind of been winding, in my experience, winding down, right?
I think so. I think we've made massive strides.
So racism in the 1860s should be, I guess, I don't want to say more acceptable, but more the norm than racism in the 1920s, 1930s, 1940s. And that's when Walt Disney was doing these racist things. And there are Disney cartoons that are banned and blacklisted because they're so racist.
Yeah.
And yet, I haven't seen anything pointing any of this out. I guess.
I bet a lot of people just don't know.
Is it that they don't know, or they're just sweeping it under the rug because Disney, in this day and age, agrees with what they agree in? Disney's trying to be all progressive, and
I think the big thing is so they can attack the losers of the Civil War because no one's fighting for them anymore.
Right.
They
okay.
lost.
Yeah.
But if they attack Disney,
I wouldn't say no one, but
that's true. No, not no one. But there's a very limited number.
Mm-hmm.
But if they attack Disney, they're looking at backlash from every household that ever loved Disney.
Right.
It's getting them to change the name. I don't think they should. I was just kidding about that. Like, I just wanted to bring it up that Disney's personality, who he was, is nothing what you would think it was from watching the movies, what they support now, how PC they are.
Right.
But they're going, they're making strides in my opinion. They're making themselves look better. I think acquiring Deadpool was a good move because Disney is a dying breed. Pixar has taken over with the kids' movies. They're doing.
Okay.
I think they're doing a much better job than Disney in general.
Yeah. Frozen was incredibly popular, but yeah.
Yeah.
In general, Pixar I think makes pretty high quality movies.
Yeah. Pixar was The Incredibles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Probably one of the best animated films ever.
And I believe Finding Nemo, Finding Dory, I believe is Pixar.
Even though they have a lamp killing an innocent eye every start. Well, whatever. That's.
I don't know. It would make sense to me for Disney to have an offshoot. Like, I don't want to say Disney adult because that just sounds so incredibly wrong.
It sounds like something you put it on an incognito tab.
But like some sort of different brand for like the Deadpool and the Guardians of the Galaxy, which is teen plus. It's not mature, but it's pretty far closer to mature than it is to PG.
Right. Yeah.
But
so I just wanted to dig a little bit at Disney himself, not the industry.
I'm gonna agree with you and say that probably most people don't know that he was a racist asshole.
Yeah,
but
he's still frozen, so they could just dig him up and.
That's true. He did cryogenically freeze himself.
Yeah, he can technically be revived at some point and then slapped for being an asshole.
Well, maybe.
Maybe you're right.
Maybe.
They probably not.
I would bet that if cryogenics, is cryogenics the right word? For I don't know. Let's just call it cryogenics.
Why not?
Freezing and unfreezing the body. If that ever becomes a thing, then you have to go through a special process of freezing, and whatever Walt Disney did, put himself in a freezer or whatever it was not the right process.
He just put himself in a box freezer.
Yeah, and all the French fry bags were clawed to shreds. Yeah. But what is this? Walt Disney's grandniece agrees with Meryl Streep he was racist. Okay, so somebody knows. Meryl Streep, I guess, but somebody knows.
Yeah. But enough about Disney. Let's go on to a little more outrage media going on. J.K. Rowling.
Is it Rowling or Rowling?
I don't care about how to pronounce her name.
All right.
I'm just gonna make it up on the spot because that's what she does.
Yeah. I have never seen a more blasphemous case of changing something after the fact as J.K.
Rowling.
Either or.
Raffle, whatever you got. I don't care how to say it.
JKR.
It's so irritating that she's doing these things.
So let's just, why don't you sum up what she's been doing?
So she writes books, and then as the culture and the landscape change, she wants to make her books fit them even more. So she goes back and just tells you that this character is how she imagined it. It has no proof in the book, but she said she imagined it like that when she wrote it.
Right.
Yeah. But right before she released, or maybe right after she released her last book,
mm-hmm.
or Half-Blood Prince, I can't remember which one, but she said that Dumbledore was a homosexual. Which, all right, in that time, it was, everyone loved the idea because, it made Dumbledore have such a complex character, and then she got such popularity from it about how accepting she was of this, movement going on, that now she can't stop. She just can't. She's got an addiction to getting that credit.
So, I mean, I think it's important to reiterate what you said is that it was after she wrote the books,
yes.
Well after she wrote the books, and after they were published, that she was like, hey, guess what? He was gay the whole time, and nobody knew it. There was no hints or evidence in the book, but there was no evidence that he wasn't gay, so I guess I'll just say that he was gay,
But then she got ahead of herself, and she said Hermione was black when there's proof in the book.
Despite the evidence, yeah.
But, she said she's happy. I think she said she would be okay with a black Hermione, which I'm glad she'd be okay with that.
Right. Otherwise, she'd be racist.
Yeah. But she's just trying so hard to stay on the front curve of the political agenda
Right.
of today.
And the newest one is saying that so she published Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
And then she published the follow-up to that. I believe, has she published it? The Crimes of Grindelwald, I think she published it. And she said after the fact, I believe, that
It is after the fact.
Dumbledore had a, what was the words? Strong, intense sexual relationship
Yeah,
with
she had an
Grindelwald.
intense sexual relationship. She had to be specific about it.
Right.
Why?
Okay. No bearing on the plot, obviously. Also not what I would call appropriate for typically the age of people reading the books.
I totally agree. That book is more for not young adults.
Young teens.
Young teens. They're not young adults enjoy them because they read them when they were younger.
Right.
Like I reread the books because I really liked them when I was younger and I just wanted to reread them.
Yeah.
Because the movies are trash once you read the books.
So I mean, it's not appropriate, and she's just inserting. It's not even conjecture, but like just nonsense after the fact, after it's already been written with no real like evidence or what have you. I mean,
it's like someone asked her a question and she's like, you know what, I can embellish this. I can make myself seem so much better.
Yeah, that's exactly how it seems to me.
It's all embellishment and it's irritating, and I wish you'd stop it.
Yeah, I mean, you can't just like change a story 12 or 15 years after you wrote it. And I mean, that's what she did with the initial basically when she first started writing Harry Potter. She's just making changes from.
Yeah.
So it's just frustrating. I mean, she's just virtue signaling again, trying to be like, hey, I'm better than you, or hey, I'm still relevant, watch my movie, buy my books, whatever,
Like you made over $1 billion off your books, girl. Quiet down over there.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't say I'm surprised.
No.
But yeah, no, and I mean, if she could have included these things in a way that would have been respectable. She could have written them into the books in, I don't want to say classy, but an appropriate manner that made some sort of sense, introduced some sort of complexity into the characters.
Yeah.
And it would have been totally acceptable, and people probably would have praised her for it. And that would have been okay.
That would have been fine.
But just saying...
Just tweeting it. I'm sure she probably just tweeted it.
Yeah, just tweeting like, oh yeah, guess what?
They had a lot of sex.
I mean, like...
Why does that matter?
It's stupid. It's just stupid. Very irritating. I have seen quite a bit of backlash on the internet about this. I mean, people are pretty irritated that she's just inserting nonsense into stuff that's already been written.
Yeah. Like either write a different book and include it in there, or just stop talking in general.
So I'm a fan of the second one.
I am too.
But like what she's doing to me almost seems like fan fiction. She's basically writing fan fiction for her own books by saying these things,
Yeah, I mean, well, enough of it. I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Okay.
You guys me riled up. I want to move on.
Okay.
I want to talk about strapping hundreds of dollars worth of sensors to pigeons.
So a company in the UK somewhere is trying to track pollution data and climate data, I guess, with pigeons. So they have these little sensors which look to be about as big as a pack of gum, like the old, like juice fruit, whatever, spearmint pack of gums, and cost $250, and they just strap them to the backs of pigeons and say, go fly free. What I don't know, and what's not clear in the article, is if they recover them. Because it seems like, nah. It seems like they're just basically taping two Benjamins and a Grant to the back of a pigeon and like, go fly free, And I can't imagine that they're really getting all that useful data out of this. Especially because of how finely tuned these things would have to be calibrated in order to actually collect any sort of useful data.
Yeah. I think someone had some extra funds they need to spend to keep their.
I mean, would you go up to a bird on the street and just try feeding it money? Just take a bill. Just, hey, buddy, you wanna try? It's good. Tastes like kale.
Where is this?
It's somewhere in the UK.
So
if our computer could,
somebody went to Parliament and said, I want to strap sensors to birds, and someone's like, that's a brilliant idea.
I believe it's a startup.
Oh, okay. Whew.
So local volunteers who breed carrier pigeons, they don't have to look for the pigeons and recover the sensors. They're just carrier pigeons. They fly back home.
Okay.
And I actually read a little bit of
Are carrier pigeons still used just for funsies?
Apparently.
Are they just for funsies? Okay.
Yeah. So I read some, I don't know, article about somebody being irritated about a specific episode of Game of Thrones. And part of the reason they were irritated is because of their what's the word I'm looking for? Improper use of carrier pigeons. So the way they depict them in Game of Thrones is they take a bird, they whisper, King's Landing, and they just let the bird go.
Yeah.
Turns out that is not even remotely close to how
they have to have a
work.
bird that only knows how to fly to King's Landing and back.
Yeah, so you have to constantly be transporting these birds in between the places. But I found that somewhat interesting that somebody actually raged in Game of Thrones about this.
In a fantasy series where anything goes.
Yeah, there's magic, and
there's undead creatures and other things.
Yeah, I guess we don't want to spoil it for anyone. There's lots of stuff that's going on, and this is the thing that they pick out that irritates them.
That sounds like me and how you guys cook. Just me picking one thing out that doesn't matter.
I do the same thing though. Like Casey and I are watching some show where there's like just a bunch of crazy stuff happening, and I'm like, yeah, why would he walk around that side of the couch? Why would he sit on the umbrella instead of just sitting on the couch? In cases like that, that's the thing you pick out to complain about. I'm like, all right.
I take it back. I do the same thing because all the scenes where someone gets like their stomach cut and all their organs fall out, it bothers me because that can't happen.
Unless you cut out all the stuff tying the organs to your skin.
Yeah, well, not tied to your skin. They're attached inside. They're all connected. If you cut open someone's stomach, their organs aren't going to fall out. You can't even twist up the intestine because it's sewn to a structure behind everything. Right. You
have to have a giant ice cream scoop.
Yeah. And it always bothers me when that happens.
Giant and sharp.
Yeah, it's like a big old spoon. That's what a scoop is. So, for those who don't know.
Thank you for that insight, Zachary. I think it's time to move on to Boeing.
Oh, that's a jump.
Yeah.
Did they also eviscerate people?
So Boeing, kind of like carrier pigeons, flies.
This is a transition, right?
This is a transition.
There we go.
Boeing also flies. So the recent issues with the 737 MAX planes, there was something called a disagree light.
I don't like this.
So where the autopilot would disagree with the information that the sensors were getting. And so, funnily enough, it was an optional extra that you could pay an extra unknown amount of money for to get this light in your cabin. The two birds that... Sorry, I say birds. I use that word lightly. The two planes that crashed, had they had this light, might have been able to diagnose the problem in such a manner that would have allowed them to prevent the crash. But they didn't pay for the optional extra.
So they were just sitting in the plane. They're like, man, does it seem like it's going down quickly? There's no light saying it's going down quickly.
Pretty much. Well, they couldn't identify the source of the issue.
Gotcha.
Which is step one.
Okay.
But you were right. You said that these are countries not known for maintaining their airlines.
Yeah.
And while that's partially true, they just didn't splurge on the extra light that would have prevented these 300-something deaths.
So is Boeing off the hook for this?
I don't know that for sure.
Okay.
But I would say probably because it was an option. The countries could have bought it.
They're gonna put it in for free, I bet now.
They are.
Yeah,
They're not charging for it.
that's the good move there. It's bad PR to see your planes land in a manner like that.
Yeah, I mean,
You're happy that your plane lands, but you want it to land in one piece, not lots of pieces.
yeah, it would have been funny if they actually increased the price of that extra.
Yeah, like you need it.
What are you gonna do? Just not put it in? You know.
Yeah. There's wheels in the bottom of the plane for a reason. Hopefully you can use them.
Yeah, I read an article that in order to fix the problem, the pilots could either turn off the autopilot or pull back really hard on the, I believe it's called a yoke. They could do that, which would essentially point the plane upwards, which is the first thing I would think of doing when the plane starts going down. Just make it go up.
Yeah. Whatever it takes to make it go up. I wonder if they're just asleep.
Maybe, possibly.
I mean, I'm sure they're not supposed to be asleep,
It could be.
but if it's on autopilot and you've run 100 flights, 200, 300 flights successfully, you fall in that habit of you kind of just miss things and you start doing things lazily.
Yeah,
You do things routinely.
Autopilot. Oh God. Yeah, you and the plane are both on autopilot. I saw a video the other day of a plane landing in incredibly high crosswinds.
Oh, where it bounces?
I don't know about that, but it was definitely coming in diagonally, and that was a terrifying.
I love
to watch.
watching the planes land where it hits the ground, it pops back up, like starts to take flight again, then they slam it down a second time, and I just want to know what it feels like to be on that plane.
I hope nobody has back problems.
I hope nobody has fear of flying, because it's gonna you're like, oh, we're safe, we're not safe, we're safe.
Yeah, dude. I did once land. I don't know. That's never happened to me, but I have landed in a plane in high crosswinds, and it was absolutely terrifying. Not fun. Would not recommend. 0 out of 10.
The last flight I took, which was back from Florida, I went to visit a friend down there. The plane landing at what's the airport south of
Reagan.
Yes, I landed at Reagan, which has apparently relatively short runways.
That's where I landed with crosswinds.
Yeah, so the guy, first off, he flew in, and I thought we weren't even going to make the fence. It just looked so low. Like, I could see, like, the ripples in the river, and I was like, man, we're not going to make it. And then we're over the runway, and I'm like, is he going to put this down? Like, he should probably put this down soon. And then he just absolutely smashed it to the ground. Like, it's the most violent landing I've ever had.
Fun.
And I see why they have you close the overhead bins and they put up everything up, because if you had a tray out in front of you, your head would have bounced off of it.
Nice.
It was violent.
Did your contents shift in the overhead bins during the flight?
They did not.
Huh?
I had a bunch of turtles packed in there.
Oh, good.
Make sure nothing moved around too much.
Exotic turtles, snapping turtles, snakes. Any snakes in there?
No, you know how I feel about snakes, man. They ain't. I know I'm not scared of them.
But you know how I feel about snakes on a plane.
Oh yeah, you don't like them on your plane?
All these motherfucking snakes on this motherfucking plane. Gotta love Samuel L. Jackson.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. So I've got a transition for you. Google, go.
Google has entered the realm of streaming.
Yes, they have.
Even though you can Google Netflix and get to streaming, they now have their own system.
They are streaming video games, though. Important to note.
Oh.
So the way that it's going to work, so they did a test project back in the fall of Google. They called it Project Stream or whatever. You could play video games on a Google browser. It was specifically an Assassin's Creed game. You could play it on the browser where all of the processing was done remotely in a server. So that's essentially what Google Stadia is going to be. Except for what they're promising seems a little unrealistic. So what they're saying is when it launches, which is going to be in 2019, that you on any device, whether it be your phone, your computer,
They're not going to uphold this.
Whatever it is, you're going to be able to stream up to 4K resolution and play a video game at 60 frames per second when it launches
I'm not buying it.
on any device. So, I mean, obviously some devices don't support 4K.
Yeah. That makes sense. If it doesn't have 4K capability, you're not going to get it from
Right.
whatever this is doing.
And they don't say the requirements for internet connectivity and bandwidth, which is really the issues that I have. But so basically it's going to be I mean, Nvidia actually did this first. They had a cloud game streaming
I could have sworn Xbox actually. Didn't they try this with the Xbox One? You could stream games and play them, and then you just return them. That's their Xbox Game Pass.
No, I don't. I think you still have to download them.
Okay.
So they're promising these really high end stats, right? And the reason that it's appealing is because you're not going to have to buy any hardware. They haven't announced the pricing model, but I assume it's going to be reasonable, and it's probably going to be a monthly subscription, as is almost everything nowadays, including our Patreon page. If you want to support us, go to Patreon and chip in the very minimal amount of $2 a month. But anyways, Google Stadia has
good plugin.
They're really building on their existing infrastructure. And so one of the reasons they say that it's going to work is because they have servers everywhere. And having a server close to a physical location is important to get that low latency.
And is that? I guess that's the key. Is you can't have a lot of lag in input.
And that's what I'm skeptical about. So I've read online, and I haven't done any of my own testing with this, that a response time, so meaning the time between you press a button and for you to see it on the actual screen, anything less than 35 milliseconds is unnoticeable. However, when I just ping a Google server, just get the response time with a really tiny bit of information, I'm looking at least 55 milliseconds. So that's almost double the let's just call it the minimum acceptable input lag. So that's why I'm skeptical. I highly doubt that me, with my relatively good internet connection, is going to be able to get gaming that doesn't feel really laggy.
I think this will work for things kind of like recreational playing, racing games, but I don't think it won't make a move towards esports because you can't play an esport with that much of a lag.
So I don't think that it's not going to outpace PC gaming at anytime soon, really. I mean, until everyone has access to incredible internet connections. And I read something like 1 in 5 households has access to a more than like 15 megabits a second. And I know to stream 4K video, you need at least consistently 25 megabits per second. So that would be less than 20% of the population actually has access to the kind of bandwidth or bandwidth that you need in order to stream 4K. And you need, I guess, 8 or 10 megabits a second in order to stream 1080p. So, I mean, a lot of people don't have access to this. And even if you have access, that's no guarantee that you're going to be able to play within the acceptable tolerances of input lag.
It seems like a great idea. It's not going to have the best execution at first. I think they might be able to iron out some things, and some people will really enjoy it.
I think it will be great for single-player games. I don't think it's going to be good for any multiplayer games.
I guess if a single-player game has lag input, it won't be terribly noticeable unless it's something like Dark Souls, which requires good timing,
right,
and avoidance of things.
But so with current competitive gaming, the majority of the processing is done on your computer, and the amount of information that is being sent between your computer and the server is so tiny that you don't really need that good of a connection. So a friend of mine was playing a game on a hotel Wi-Fi, and so he had something like 100 kilobytes a second, or maybe it was 1 megabit a second, and he was able to play this game because so little information was actually being passed in between him and the server.
What game is this?
This is Overwatch.
Oh, Overwatch.
So I'm just using that as an example. So it just doesn't seem like it's gonna work for most people. For some people, yeah, sure, maybe, but I think one of the other big things that they're doing with this is there's going to be a lot of integration with YouTube because Google owns YouTube, so
they've got to use their own platform.
They've got a button that will allow you to upload your gameplay directly to Google and directly to streaming, and that and one other thing makes me think that they're really trying to take down Twitch, which is the current leader in video game streaming.
Which I don't know when Twitch became popular, but I didn't hear about it till 2018.
It became popular in like 2012.
I was
that's
so
when
behind
it started
the
to
times.
become pretty big. And it's only grown since then. And I mean, I guess you didn't really play many games that it would have applied to until Fortnite.
I didn't start doing like esport games until I basically made the switch to PC.
Right. But I think Google is really trying to compete with that because, I mean, Twitch is owned by Amazon, YouTube's owned by Google, and YouTube has streaming services, and people do stream video games on them. It's just not as popular. The other thing that is, I think is actually pretty cool, two things. When you're watching a YouTube video of somebody playing a game, or watching a YouTube stream of somebody playing a game, with this new service, there will be a play now button. So you can watch somebody play like whatever game. You can click a button on YouTube and it'll take you to a browser where if you have access to the game, you can immediately start playing it. No download, no patching.
That is nice.
Yeah.
That's a great for people who
No
play video
delay.
games. Understand how obnoxious it is when you get on. You're like, and then you have a massive update that takes an hour or two to download.
It's all done behind the scenes, and so that's nice, convenient. And the last thing, which I think is the actual coolest thing that they're promising, is there's going to be a crowd play thing. So let's say you're a YouTube streamer, you want to play a game, let's just say Fortnite, with some of your friends, with your viewers. There'll be a crowd play button, and so like the first 100 people to click on the link can actually just join the game with you.
That would be nice.
I think that's awesome.
That's a good concept.
Yeah.
I'm excited for what Google. I think Google is going to make enough waves in gaming to bring a change, but I don't think the change that they're looking for is going to be behind the scenes all processing. I don't think that's anywhere near possible.
Well, we'll see. It's coming out in 2019, and starting out on launch, like I said, they're promising 4K at 60 FPS. And in the future, 8K at 120 FPS. And I mean, you're looking at 75 megabits per second consistent data streaming rate there. I mean, that's absurd.
It's probably going to only be guaranteed with their internet provider. Does Google have its own internet provider?
Google Fiber. But they're very, very limited. They're only in a handful of cities right now.
That's what they're guaranteeing is to those people.
My other problem, besides the input lag in the internet connection that you need for this, is that when you're like traveling or on a plane, you're not going to be able to use it. I mean,
do you often want to play competitive games while traveling?
Any game. I can pull out my Switch right now. I could bring my laptop on a plane, and I mean that really helps to pass the time. But if all I had is Google Stadia, I'm assuming is how it's pronounced. If that's all I had, I mean, most planes that I go on don't actually even have internet. It's been like, I don't know, 20 years since internet's been, or 15 years since Wi-Fi's been pretty common no matter where you go, and a lot of planes still don't have it. A lot of planes still don't even have like any kind of AC outlets or USB ports or anything to charge your stuff. I mean,
and what Wi-Fi they do give you, if they don't charge an exorbitant amount to use it, they have a severe limitations on it.
Yeah.
Like you can't stream a video on that bandwidth.
Nope. And I mean, that might be a cash grab, but it's also them being behind the times. I mean, but like, what if you're also like in the back of a car and you're
in the middle of Nebraska,
and you're hopefully not underwater. And you want to play like you have to have an internet connection, which is a limiting factor.
You can play Noah's Ark.
Yeah, oh my God. But
let's moving on from Google. last thing about video games. Not my car. I see you brought this up because of how personal that subject is with me.
Do you want to bring that up or
I
not?
don't. No, I don't.
Okay, that's fine.
We're never going. I know you guys are going to bring it up all the time, but we're never going to talk about it.
Okay, so I thought it was kind of funny.
Is that the title of the game?
That's the title of the game. Not my car. It is a vehicular battle royale, which
That's so ironic. That's some golden irony for there.
I love the title. I love the concept. I mean, it's still battle royale. Don't get me wrong, but this has the potential to be fun because you being able to drive around all the time with machine guns mounted on your car. I mean, it's gonna be. It has the potential to be pretty good. I also really like the tagline. So the tagline of the game, if you watch the trailer, which is pretty much a Ford trailer ripoff, the tagline of the game is everything else is just a walking simulator, which I think is so incredibly accurate.
All right, I'll give it to him. So I two things I thought about immediately when I read about it is it doesn't seem like it's going to be a very competitive mode.
I can't see I can't see it being very competitive.
It's it sounds way too casual and
chaotic,
but also driving games on a mouse and keyboard don't seem to coincide very well.
No, nope, not at all. You pretty much need a gamepad for that.
Yeah,
but man, this would be such a fun game though if you had like a wheel and everything, wheel and pedals.
Oh, and you're
man.
And VR.
That
would be.
You just use the paddle shifters to shoot people, and that'd be dope.
That would be.
That'd be awesome.
I could get behind that.
I could absolutely get in that.
I also think that this is going to be it's a good change for getting away from the so-called sweaty players of Apex and Fortnite.
This seems like it'd be more casual, more just mindless fun.
And also driving, just, how good can you get? I'm sure there's going to be insanely good people at it, as all things happen in life.
Yeah. If the driving works out to be anything like GTA driving, it would be supremely fun. Because GTA driving is, I don't know how realistic it is, but it's chaotic enough that it's just so much fun.
Yeah.
It's
GTA did a good job. I hope they go in their footsteps and follow that kind of driving style. I'm excited to see what happens with it. Outside of that, I have nothing else to say about it.
Yeah. I think it could be good. I think it could be exciting. So,
I think that's a wrap.
I think that's everything that we
It's
got.
a little longer episode for us.
Yeah, especially considering we actually hit on fewer topics. But I'll tell you what, I'm excited. I'm excited about this episode. I think it's been really good, really fun.
I will admit that the parts that aren't going to make it in this show are probably the best parts, but I'm glad I've calmed down a little bit from that one effed up transition we had.
They'll be, assuming I can patch it together, they'll be in the outtakes on the YouTube video. If you want to go ahead and watch that, and or maybe just scroll to the end. But thank you guys for listening. If you enjoyed that episode, don't forget to subscribe, and please consider leaving us a review on your podcast app and or on our Facebook page.
Once again, bad reviews get shown to Drifter. Don't do that to him.
You can follow us on Instagram at LaunchSpeed and take a second to like and share our previously mentioned Facebook page. We're also on YouTube. We have audio of older episodes and video of our newer episodes. So if you want to watch us record and see our studio, subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you have any tips, suggestions, feedback, things you would like to hear us discuss on the podcast, or hygiene tips for Zach, please don't hesitate to send us an email at launchspeedpodcast@gmail.com or reach out to us through any of our social media channels. We also now have a Teespring. If you want to support us and get some awesome merch, head on over to our Teespring page and get some bear gear, because everybody likes bears. Finally, our brand new Patreon page is up. If you want to get into the ground floor, get some stickers, shout outs, and some bonus content, Help us out by subscribing to some of our tiers starting at a measly $2 a month, which is really just pocket change. Your contributions help keep the content rolling and the beer flowing.
Thanks for listening, guys. Hope you enjoyed it.